Being a landlord really doesn't need to be too stressful. Here are our top tips for making life easier when it comes to letting out a property. Is the property fit for habitation? Remember, tenants have serious rights. It's worth checking and double checking that everything is just right to avoid problems later on. One good question to ask yourself is, would you be happy to live here? Check things like heating, lighting, electric, damp, and any potential risks or danger based on a common sense self-assessment. During our valuation process, we will offer you help and advice on all of this. Choosing an agent who is a member of ARLA, the Association of Residential Lettings Agents, is a really safe option. Being an ARLA regulated agent ourselves, we have to be audited annually and are professionally qualified, so you are really well protected. We hear horror stories all the time about some agents, so if your agent is ARLA regulated, you've made a great choice. You must make sure that certain processes are fulfilled in a timely fashion, or there could be challenges later on in the tenancy, such as the deposit being lodged correctly, to which prescribed information relating to this has to be served correctly at the outset. You must also provide a how to rent guide before they move in, otherwise you could be breaking the rules regarding serving Section 21 notices to remove tenant. Think about the type of tenant you're looking for. Remembering, the more people in your property, the higher the wear and tear there will be. It's vital that the agent you choose has a great referencing structure. Some agents use their sales teams to conduct this process, which is a huge conflict of interest in our opinion, as it's in their interest to move that tenant in irrespectively, which can sometimes lead to problems later on in the tenancy. Here at Conran Estates, we have a separate compliance department. They ensure that every tenant undergoes rigorous checks similar to those done as if they were applying for a mortgage. If we find they're not suitable, we would advise you not to accept them. Our landlords really enjoy this risk-based approach, as having a terrible tenant is extremely stressful. Just a few pieces of legislation to follow are the Housing Act, Tenancy Agreements, Defective Premises Act, Gas Safety Regulations, the Furniture and Furnishings Regulations, Electrical Safety Regulations, Smoke Alarms, Carbon Monoxide Regulations, and potential of immigration laws. It is a minefield, and if you do not know what you are doing, it is important you find someone who really does. From our recent survey, the two biggest fears of being a landlord are receiving your rent in a timely fashion and removing a tenant when they are not doing so or abusing your property. Well, a rent guarantee and a legal protection insurance policy could be a very good investment, and we can happily help you with this for full peace of mind. Some lenders will allow this for a short period of time before having to find a suitable buy-to-let alternative. We can always put you in touch with an independent mortgage advisor for a free consultation on this matter. Normal buildings and contents insurance may not cover in the event of a claim. Your policy must cover renting the property, and check the small print for any exclusions under the policy. If you're in a leasehold property, does the lease allow you to rent the property out? You will need to check the lease to check if it is possible. If you're not already doing it, you will need to submit a self-assessment to HMRC. If you are already doing a self-assessment, then be sure to add it to your next one. Receiving rent is another income and must be declared even if you're not making any profit. When it comes to getting your property back from a tenant, there are formal notices which must be legally served and rules to abide by, especially with some recent legislation changes. One mistake and it could cost you dearly. Today's tenants are savvy professionals, and they really do know their rights. The good news for you is that we really do know the law, and we will protect our landlords. If you're not going to be residing in the UK, you must apply to HMRC and declare yourself as an overseas landlord. Otherwise, a chunk of your rent will need to be held back. When it comes to commissioning an estate agent to find tenants for you, choose carefully and ask for past reviews. Look at what other landlords are saying, and of course tenants too. If an agent mistreats a tenant, then they could in turn mistreat your property, which is the last thing you want. It also shows how important customer care is to the agent. Check out our awesome reviews at allagents.co.uk/Conran-Estates. Consider having your property professionally managed, especially if you don't want any hassle, time is challenging for you, or you do not understand all the various regulations in place, which is forever changing and evolving, mainly to protect the tenants. When an agent manages your property, they take responsibility and they're accountable for much of the legislation, taking the stress and strain away from you. Some agents, like us, have an in-house maintenance person, so most issues can be resolved cheaply and effectively. Unlike many other agents, we don't charge excessive fees for maintenance. We will treat you fairly, and as we have in-house maintenance, we can be sure to be cost effective and time effective too, and we do not charge call-out fees either. I really hope these tips help you. Please remember they are purely a basic introduction to letting a property. For more details and a free valuation for marketing purposes, please do contact one of our offices. We are here to help.